Welcome to English Every Day, your daily dose of English learning, fun conversations, and practical tips to take your language skills to the next level.
All right, so get this. Imagine if instead of just like reading about the Amazon rainforest,
Mm-hmm.
your kid could actually like walk through it
Wow.
virtually,
Yeah.
Or what if they could have a conversation with like an AI version of Abraham Lincoln for their history project?
Yeah.
We're talking about tech, like totally changing K-12 education
Yeah.
in ways we never even thought possible.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. It's amazing to see how technology has gone from being just like this helpful thing, in the classroom to like a really major player in how students learn.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've got this awesome Stanford report article we're diving into today.
Cool.
It goes deep into all the latest trends. It even points out some potential like problems we might run into
Right.
along the way. And we'll uncover this whole data revolution that's happening behind the scenes. Like think big data,
Yeah.
but for schools.
That's really interesting. And with all this new technology, it's super important to think about how we can use it to really like personalize education for each student, but like also keep their information safe and secure.
Right.
It's a tricky challenge for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough one for sure. Okay, so first up, let's talk about AI,
Okay.
specifically ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And how it's like shaking things up in education. I mean, some people are like super excited.
Yeah.
Other people are a little nervous.
I can imagine.
It's a real mixed bag,
Yeah, I mean, teachers are naturally worried, right, about students using AI to cheat
Of
or
course.
plagiarize. That's a valid concern. It's sparking a lot of discussion.
Yeah, no, for sure. But the Stanford report also points out that like AI can be a really incredible teaching tool.
Yeah.
Imagine this. Your kid submits an essay,
Okay.
and instead of waiting days for feedback,
Right.
an AI analyzes it, like right away.
Wow.
Offering suggestions for grammar, sentence structure, even how to make their argument stronger and
Instant feedback.
instant feedback. Exactly.
Exactly.
Right. So instead of replacing teachers, AI could actually become like a partner,
Yeah.
helping them to personalize lesson plans and give students instant feedback tailored to their learning style.
I love that. That's really
Right.
taking it to the next level.
It's a game changer, but it also means we need to start teaching kids about AI.
Yes.
Like not just how to use it, but like how to think critically about the information it gives them.
Right.
We can't let them just blindly accept what AI says.
Exactly. We need to make sure that they understand how AI works
Mhm.
and where it might have limitations. It's really about preparing them for a world where AI is everywhere,
For sure. For sure. Okay, speaking of pushing boundaries, let's dive into immersive technologies
Right.
like augmented reality, virtual reality. We're not just talking about watching videos anymore.
Yeah.
We're talking about creating in virtual worlds.
Yeah, that's exciting. Think about students building their own virtual field trips or even designing 360-degree scenarios using tools that are already out there. It's all about learning by doing and experiencing.
Totally. The report even talks about kids learning about climate change by like virtually experiencing its impact on a specific environment.
Yeah.
And they can even create their own simulations
Oh, wow.
and share them with others.
That's great. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then if we combine AI with virtual reality, things get really wild.
Oh, I can imagine.
Right. Like imagine students on a virtual field trip to ancient Rome.
Mm-hmm.
They can ask their AI guide any question about what they're seeing, and they get instant answers.
That's amazing.
Right. That takes show and tell
Yeah.
to a whole new level. Makes you wonder how these types of experiences
Yeah.
can totally transform how we learn history, science,
Yeah.
even art.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about capturing a student's curiosity and
Yeah.
getting them truly involved in a way that you just can't do with, the traditional textbook. Learning becomes an adventure.
It does. It
Yeah.
totally does. And you know what else is like blowing up in education? Gamification.
Gamification, yeah.
It's all about using those game mechanics
Mm-hmm.
that kids love. Interactive videos, rewards, challenges
Mm-hmm.
to keep them engaged and motivated.
Right. But, while rewards can be a great motivator, there's a catch, right? Sometimes the reward becomes like more important
Yeah.
than the learning itself.
Right.
It's like offering chocolate-covered broccoli, as the report put it.
That's a great analogy.
Just adding game elements to boring drills doesn't magically make them educational.
Yeah, it's not about tricking kids into learning.
Right.
It's about designing games that actually encourage them to think deeply, solve problems creatively,
Yeah.
and not just memorize facts quickly.
Exactly. We need games that reward those aha moments.
Yes.
And strategic thinking,
Yes.
not just speed and repetition.
For sure. So it's about finding that perfect blend of fun and real learning.
Totally.
Think about the games your child enjoys, what makes them so engaging. Could those same elements be used to make learning more captivating?
It's a great question to consider. Now, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about something a little more, well, complex and maybe even a bit unsettling:
Okay.
data collection in education.
Oh, yeah.
This is where technology raises some big questions.
This is where things get really interesting. So the Stanford report pointed out that with all this new technology, we can basically track everything a student does online, like every click, every pause, every answer they give.
I know, and all that data can give us incredible insights into how students learn.
Right.
We can see where they struggle, what they excel at,
Yeah.
how they approach different problems.
So interesting. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
While companies are collecting tons of this data, teachers don't always have access to it
Right.
in a way that they can actually use. So there's like this disconnect between all the data being gathered and how it's actually being used in the classroom.
That's a problem, and it raises a lot of questions about who controls this data and how it's being used. Is it really helping to personalize education for students, or is it just benefiting tech companies?
Yeah. And then there's the issue of student privacy.
Oh, of course.
How much data is too much?
Right.
Who gets to decide how it's used? And those are huge questions we need to discuss as a society.
Absolutely. The potential benefits of using data to personalize education are exciting,
Hmm.
but we can't ignore the potential risks to privacy.
It's such a delicate balance, and it's a conversation we need to have with everyone involved.
Yeah.
Parents, teachers, policymakers.
For sure.
How do you feel about your child's data being collected?
Yeah.
Do you think the potential benefits outweigh the risks?
Mm-hmm.
And what safeguards should be in place?
These are questions that every parent and educator should be asking.
Absolutely.
And the answers will have a huge impact on the future of education.
They really will.
Yeah.
They really will.
It's fascinating.
It is.
Yeah, it really is a balancing act. Yeah,
I agree.
like a tightrope walk.
Totally.
And it leads us right into like the heart of how technology is changing, how we even think about education as a whole,
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Like, the Stanford report made me realize that this isn't just about adding like fancy gadgets to classrooms.
Right.
We're talking about rethinking the very foundation of what education should even look like in this century,
It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah, it is.
And one of the most like interesting points the report brings up is that AI, for all its potential, could actually make existing inequalities worse
Oh,
if we're not super careful.
that's a really important point.
Yeah.
We can't just like embrace AI without thinking about the consequences.
Right.
Right. It's like if you build a house on a shaky foundation, the whole thing could collapse.
Exactly.
If the data used to train AI systems is already biased,
Mhm.
those biases will just get amplified,
Absolutely.
It's scary.
Yeah, but here's like the flip side, right? AI also has this amazing power to help us identify and support students who learn differently.
Yeah.
We can actually use data to create learning experiences that are like tailor-made for each student's needs and learning style.
Oh, that's cool. So it's not about replacing teachers with robots.
No.
It's about giving teachers better tools to help them reach every student.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's about using technology to create this learning environment where everyone feels seen and supported.
That's the goal, right? Moving away from that like one-size-fits-all approach.
Yes.
And really embracing the diversity of learners that we have in our classrooms.
Yes, recognizing that every child brings their own strengths and challenges to the table, and using technology to make sure their education reflects that,
Absolutely. And that brings us to like the crucial role of educators in this whole like evolving landscape.
Right.
Technology is a tool, but it's teachers who will ultimately determine how it's used
Right.
and whether it truly benefits students.
We need teachers who understand both like the possibilities and the pitfalls
Yes.
of AI,
Yes.
right? And who are committed to using these tools to create learning experiences that are, engaging and fair for all students.
It's about finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
between like embracing new technology, but also ensuring that it truly serves the best interests of our kids.
For sure. For sure. And speaking of serving the best interests of our children, let's talk about the rise of all this new educational software
Okay.
and systems that schools are using. So the Stanford report mentioned that schools got a bunch of funding
Yeah,
through the ES program during the pandemic.
right.
And a lot of that went towards technology, right?
That's right. And now as that funding starts to,
Yeah.
run out,
Yeah.
schools are facing some really tough decisions about which technologies they want to keep using
Mhm.
and how they're going to pay for them in the long run.
It's a big decision. So it's not just about the initial cost of, buying devices or software. It's also about the ongoing costs of maintenance, training, and updates.
It all adds up.
It does. It's
Yeah.
a big investment. Schools need to really carefully consider which technologies actually lead to better learning outcomes, not
Mhm.
just the ones that look fancy or are the latest trend.
Yeah, it's got to be about substance over style.
Exactly. It's about making sure that every dollar spent on technology is actually making a difference
Right.
in the lives of students.
Absolutely. And of course, there's the whole challenge of ensuring that all students have access to technology,
Yes.
no matter their background or where they live.
Right?
We don't want to create a situation where some students are left behind
Of course.
simply because they don't have the same resources.
So it's about more than just the technology itself.
Mhm.
It's about having the right infrastructure and support systems in place to make sure that technology is used effectively and fairly.
It's about creating a comprehensive plan for integrating technology into education, one that considers the needs of students, teachers, and the community as a whole.
It sounds like we've arrived at this crossroads in education. Technology is changing everything,
It really is.
but it's up to us to make sure those changes are positive.
Absolutely. Technology has the potential to transform learning for the better,
Mhm.
but it's not a magic solution.
Right.
We need to approach it with, with both enthusiasm
Yeah.
and a healthy dose of caution,
Totally.
always keeping the well-being of students at the forefront.
And that's where you come in, dear listener.
Yeah.
We've explored a lot of different aspects of technology's impact on K-12 education, but we're really just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, there's so much more to discuss.
What are your thoughts on all of this? What role do you want technology to play in your child's education?
This isn't just a conversation for experts and policymakers.
Right.
It's a conversation that every parent, every teacher, every member of the community needs to be a part of.
I love that.
The future of education really depends on all of us working together
Yes.
and thinking critically about how we want to shape it.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're
Yeah.
building the plane as we fly it,
Right, exactly.
We're figuring this whole technology and education thing out as we go, and
Yeah,
it's a team effort for sure.
it is. It really highlights why it's so important for everyone to be involved in this conversation.
Yeah.
We all have a stake in the future of education, and we all bring different,
Yeah.
perspectives and experiences to the table.
Totally. And speaking of different perspectives, one thing that really struck me
Yeah.
in the Stanford report was this idea that technology isn't just changing what kids learn.
Right.
It's also changing how they learn.
Totally.
It's like shifting from a one-way street to a roundabout.
I like that.
Right. Much more interactive and engaging.
Yeah, it's a shift from passive learning,
Mhm.
where students are just kind of absorbing information, to tactive learning, where
Yes.
they're creating, experimenting, problem solving.
Yes.
And technology can be this really powerful catalyst for that kind of active, hands-on learning.
It makes sense, right? Kids today have grown up with technology.
Yeah,
It's like second nature to them.
it is. It is.
So using it in the classroom can feel a lot more natural than just,
Right.
sitting and listening to a lecture.
Absolutely. And it can open up so many new possibilities for learning,
Totally.
Imagine a history lesson where students are using virtual reality to
Yeah.
actually walk through the streets of ancient Rome,
But-
or a science class where they're using augmented reality to dissect a virtual frog
Ooh,
without having to, dissect a real frog.
no mess.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that would definitely make science class a little less squeamish for
Yeah.
some kids, right?
Yeah.
But beyond the cool factor, I mean, these types of immersive experiences can really help kids understand concepts in a much deeper way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one thing to read about the Colosseum. It's another thing to virtually stand in the middle of it and feel its scale and grandeur.
It's about bringing learning to life,
Yes.
making it tangible, making it relatable.
Yes.
And technology can help us do that in ways we never could have imagined.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's exciting to think about all the possibilities, but it also makes me wonder, Like,
Yeah.
how do we make sure that all kids have access
Right.
to these amazing learning experiences? We talked earlier about the digital divide and how important it is to make sure that technology is accessible to every student.
It's crucial. We can't just assume that, every kid has a computer and high-speed internet at home.
Of course, of course. And it's not just about the hardware and the software.
Right.
It's also about providing training and support for teachers
Yes.
and families so that everyone feels comfortable using technology and integrating it into their lives.
It's about creating a culture of digital literacy where everyone has the skills and the confidence to navigate the digital world safely and effectively.
Absolutely. So it sounds like the future of K-12 education is going to be this like fascinating mix
Yeah.
of high-tech tools and good old-fashioned human connection.
It's the best of both worlds, right?
It is. It is. We need both.
Yeah.
Technology can like amplify the impact of great teaching, but it can't replace the human element.
Totally.
The relationships, the mentorship, the passion that teachers bring to the classroom.
The heart and soul of teaching.
Exactly. Exactly. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive.
Wow, that went by fast.
I know, right? Into the world of technology and K-12 education. It's been this like whirlwind tour
Yes.
of trends and challenges and possibilities, but one thing's for sure.
What's that?
This is just the beginning.
It is. The conversation is just getting started.
It is. We've only just scratched the surface of what's possible when we combine the power of technology with the creativity and the ingenuity of educators.
That's where the magic happens.
It is. It is. So as you continue to navigate this ever-evolving landscape,
Yeah.
we encourage you to keep asking questions, stay curious,
Stay curious.
and be a part of shaping the future of education.
And remember, the ultimate goal
Yes.
is to create learning experiences that are engaging,
Yes.
equitable,
Yes.
and empowering for every child.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, this is fun.
We'll catch you next time
All right.
for another fascinating exploration
Sounds good.
of the world of ideas